basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.
Has the Trump-brokered ceasefire between Israel and Iran already fallen apart? Well, that's the big question we are asking tonight on GRAVITAS. It was a dramatic turn overnight. US President Donald Trump announced a ceasefire between Iran and Israel, and for a moment, it felt like the fighting might stop. Markets rallied, oil prices dropped. The dollar slipped, stocks surged. But just as quickly, the question changed, is the war really over just because Trump says it is? Because within hours, the missiles were allegedly flying again. And then came the outburst. A visibly angry Trump lashed out. He accused both sides of breaking the deal. The ceasefire, it seems, is already in pieces. In Israel, no warning siren sounded after 7:45 GMT, while in Iran, the military reported the last strikes at around 5:30 GMT. Trump, who made the announcement on social media on Tuesday, had earlier in the day even thanked Iran. Yes, he thanked Tehran for giving the US advance notice before it launched the missiles at a US base in Qatar. The base had been evacuated and no one was hurt. That's because the Iranian strike, while it might look aggressive on paper, was a symbolic one. It was a carefully choreographed move by Tehran to de-escalate tensions. That's after the Israeli-American strikes on Iran's nuclear sites. It was a message of restraint from Iran. Iran, which had stopped short of officially accepting the proposal, said that the Islamic Republic's forces had compelled Israel to unilaterally cease fire. Its foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, had earlier said that if Israel stopped its illegal aggression, Tehran would have no intention to continue fighting. Meanwhile, Israel had said that it had agreed to Trump's ceasefire plan, adding that it had achieved all its goals. But then almost 3 hours after the start of the ceasefire brokered by Trump, which he said came into effect in a post on Truce Social at 6:08 GMT, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said he has ordered the country's military to respond forcefully to Iran's violation of the ceasefire. This directive followed an announcement by the military that it had detected missile launches from Iran towards Israel. Israel claimed that both intercepted and vowed a response. Iran, meanwhile, denied the accusation, calling it baseless. Then came a stunning message from Trump. Speaking to reporters before leaving for the NATO summit, the US president lashed out at both the countries, both Iran and Israel, for violating the ceasefire, and he was especially harsh on Israel. Well, he used some choice of words to express his frustration. Take a listen.
You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
On his Truth Social platform, Trump posted in all caps, and I'm quoting here, "Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do, it's a major violation. Bring your pilots home now," unquote. He also urged the ceasefire is now in effect. Please do not violate it. And if you're wondering how this fragile ceasefire even came together, it turns out Qatar may have played a crucial role. According to news agency AFP, Qatari Prime Minister helped broker the truce after Iran's missile strike on the US base near Doha. He reportedly spoke to Tehran following a conversation with US Vice President J.D. Vance and convinced Iran to accept the US proposal for a ceasefire with Israel. Qatar's Prime Minister has urged both Iran and the US to return to the nuclear talks table and also warned Israel not to use the Iran ceasefire as a cover to intensify bombing in Gaza. I'm quoting again. We hope Israel does not exploit this truce to unleash everything it wants to unleash on Gaza. But doubts remain. The UN nuclear watchdog says it cannot confirm whether Iran's underground Fordo nuclear facility was destroyed or not, despite the US president claiming it was totally destroyed. Even Trump's own advisors now seem to be shifting the goalpost, suggesting the strike's success is not measured by damage, but by pushing Iran back to the negotiating table. Whether Iran agrees with that framing, that's another matter entirely. And there's one more strategic factor in play. We are talking about the Strait of Hormuz, this important choke point through which over 20% of the world's oil flows. Iran still controls it and still holds that card. According to experts, Iran is unlikely to block the strait as it would hurt its allies, especially China and Iraq, and risk uncontrollable escalation. But if Iran's economic infrastructure is ever targeted, that could change. So what's the bottom line here? The missiles may have stopped for now, but that does not mean trust has been built. Far from it, actually. This piece feels shaky. Meanwhile, the political messaging is all over the place. The question being, will this fragile truce between Iran and Israel hold? No one makes Test cricket look this exciting or this unpredictable. Rishabh Pant is a risk taker who defies expectations. With every ball, he'll defend with a dead bat. Then launch the next delivery into the stands, unorthodox, fearless and unmissable. Pant turns chaos into art. From ICU beds to Headingley hundreds, Pant's return is nothing short of a miracle. Once sidelined by terrifying accident, he fought through pain and uncertainty. Pant said he was lucky to be alive, and now he's alive and how? From barely being able to walk to hitting audacious paddle sweeps while falling to the ground. His journey of physical recovery has rarely been seen before. His rehab was a 14-month process, which included physiotherapy, customized aqua therapy and strength building. And it has clearly worked. He's now lighting it up in whites, thrilling fans with every innings, keeping millions on the edge of their seats. One moment, stupid, stupid, stupid. The next, absolute genius. That's Pant. Who could forget legendary Sunil Gavaskar uttering those three words after one of Pant's early dismissals. But at Headingley, the same Gavaskar was on his feet gesturing to Pant for a somersault celebration, just like the one he pulled off after his first innings. And that moment said it all. Pant hasn't just won matches, he has won over his critics, one mad inning at a time. He always puts on a show, or at least tries to, falling over, yet still hitting sixes with one hand off the bat. Reverse sweeping spinners from outside of stump, ramping the quickest of deliveries over the keeper's head, and sometimes just stepping out to smack pacers straight back down the ground. Want to get a measure of what goes on inside Pant's mind? Just listen in to the stump mic. Like the time he scolded himself for playing a rash shot, only to try something even more audacious moments later. At Headingley, Pant wrote history with twin centuries. The 27-year-old became the first Indian to score a century in both innings against England. He now has 8 Test hundreds and 7 scores in the 90s. It's a number, a stat that screams both genius and near misses. If he'd converted even 5 of those 90s, he'd be second only to Adam Gilchrist, arguably regarded as the greatest wicket-keeper batter of all time. And now, Vice Captain Pant is no longer just instinct and impulse. There's madness, yes, but there's also maturity and method. And that balance is what makes him truly special. Well, NATO boss Mark Rutte sent a gushing, caps-heavy pre-summit note to the US President Donald Trump, showing just how far he's willing to go to flatter the US President. Trump is headed to the Netherlands for the NATO summit. Congratulations and thank you for your decisive action in Iran. That was truly extraordinary and something no one else dared to do. It makes us safer. That's what Rutte wrote. Rutte then turned to the real business of the summit, spending pledges, and made sure Trump got the credit for rallying Europe. He wrote, "Europe is going to pay in a big way, as they should, and it would be your win. You are flying into another big success in The Hague this evening. It was not easy, but we've got them all signed on to 5%, he added. Trump, true to form, promptly posted the letter online. Rutte's approach, which experts are calling smart, shows his sophisticated understanding of Trump's psychological triggers. The use of capitalized words and the text laced with praise for the US president and keeping Trump inside the NATO tent, no matter the cost, has become Rutte's top diplomatic priority. With Trump storming back to power and warning allies that he would not protect those who don't pay up, Rutte went all in, clearly. On board Air Force One, Trump did not answer directly when asked whether he would abide by Article 5 of the NATO treaty, which outlines the alliance's mutual defense guarantees. All right, in other news, espionage, intelligence gathering and covert operations, they are all once again taking center stage in global affairs and the front lines of war. And this, as the United States of America redirects its military and strategic focus towards Asia, especially to counter the rise of China. The United Kingdom has been asked to step forward. According to a senior NATO commander, NATO faces a looming gap in intelligence and surveillance capabilities across Europe. NATO Supreme Allied Commander for Transformation, French Admiral Pierre Vandier, has now publicly urged the UK to lead intelligence operations to fill a vacuum that could emerge. In an interview with the House magazine, Admiral Vandier warned that Washington's surveillance resources, from skill experts to satellite assets, may soon become too strained to support European allies effectively. He cautioned that if the US concentrates its efforts on China, it could leave NATO's European members scrambling without intelligence input. The UK, according to Vandier, is best placed to shoulder this responsibility, especially its intelligence agencies, including GCHQ and MI6. They both should play a central role in NATO's future surveillance systems, which aim to predict and detect threats across land, sea, air, and even space. But this return to an intelligence-driven world is not confined to the West. Iran has arrested 6 alleged Mossad-linked operatives across the cities of Razan, Nahabad, and Hamdan. Officials claim the suspects used cyberspace to coordinate with foreign agents and provoke domestic unrest. But Iranian intelligence says it intercepted their plans before they could materialize. Iran's judiciary also executed a man convicted of spying for Israel. Officials allege he was in contact with Mossad, which is Israel's foreign intelligence agency. Just a few hours ago, Iranian media reported the arrest of a European citizen who allegedly entered Iran as a tourist and reportedly went to southern Iran to gather intelligence at military sites. While in Israel, officials have detained 3 of their own citizens for allegedly acting on behalf of Iran. Well, as tensions between the two countries remain high, from Europe to West Asia, the age of espionage isn't history. Intelligence agencies are back in focus and spies have returned to the front lines of war.